Hello. This isn't showing me if anybody's here. There we go. Here's where I can put comments. Here is the link to the article that's on Newsweek by Kelly Wynn that we are going to discuss. I was out running errands and got the message just as while I was driving. So I've only skimmed this article, but I'm going to read it right now and then we'll discuss, okay? So it's titled Making a Murderer Confession. Convicted Wisconsin murderer allegedly confesses to killing Teresa Halbach. And this is by Kelly Wynn. Kelly Wynn has been covering everything that has to do with Stephen and Brendan's case for Newsweek. So she's the one too, when we get articles of stuff with Zellner, that's all Kelly Wynn. Okay. A Wisconsin inmate has allegedly confessed to the murder of Teresa Halbach. The inmate, who is Wisconsin law enforcement has access to the said confession, told filmmakers of upcoming documentary series Convicting a Murderer that he was responsible for the infamous death, as seen on Making a Murderer. Currently, there are two men behind bars for Halbach's death. Both claim they are innocent. Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey have both spent years fighting for their freedom. Dassey took his case all the way to the Supreme Court, where his attempt at a new trial was rejected, while Avery continues the appeals process. Sean Reck, director of Convicting a Murderer, told Newsweek his crew was given the confession while filming the documentary series. Quote, "We haven't confirmed the legitimacy of the confession, but seeing as it was given by a notable convicted murderer from Wisconsin, we feel responsible to deliver any and all enforcement and legal teams," he told Newsweek. "Having been in production for 20 months, we've uncovered an unfathomable amount of information leading us to the truth. Our investigation does not end here." Reck also confirmed the confession did not come from Dassey or Avery. If the secret inmate's confession is found reliable, it could spark freedom for both Dassey and Avery. Much of America joined forces to support exoneration for the uncle and nephew pair after two parts of Making a Murderer in 2016. The documentary into Dassey and Avery's family while diving deep into forensic evidence that could point at a third-party killer. Kathleen Zellner, Avery's current lawyer, has a handful of theories that point to other members of the Dassey family as Halbach's killers. She's spent years recreating parts of the crime scene and evidence in hopes of proving Avery couldn't have committed the murder he's convicted of. If Avery is exonerated, it will be the second time he was wrongly convicted of a violent crime in the state of Wisconsin. Convicting a Murderer is a 10-part documentary series currently in post-production, according to the Internet Movie Database. The series aims to be a sequel to Making a Murderer, but will include parts the Netflix series left out, Reck told Newsweek in January. "I watched Making a Murderer like tens of millions of others," Reck said. "After watching the series, I was angry with law enforcement and even embarrassed as an American because of what appeared to have happened to Stephen and Brendan. But after doing a little bit of follow-up research, I learned that not only did I not have the whole story, I was misled by the series. And I'm saying this as a fan, not as an established documentary filmmaker. In the docuseries, a handful of law enforcement figures who believe Avery is guilty, like Andy Colburn, are expected to appear. Convicting a Murderer is expected to come out on a to-be-determined streaming platform in 2020, according to Reck, who said it will be finalized in March." All right. Let me post the link here again for the article that I just read before I get into discussing it, and then I'll get into anything that people has said. There's a whole bunch that I don't like here. All right. Where do I want to start with that I didn't like? I don't like that they're claiming that this would be a sequel, because it is not. It is not done by the people that has made Making a Murderer. So this is just something that's trying to take the notoriety from Making a Murderer and put it into their own series. So it's not a sequel. So don't call this a sequel. It's not a sequel. This is somebody else covering this completely. I don't like what else was on there that I didn't like that they said. Misled by this series. Nobody was misled by Making a Murderer. Making a Murderer gave you what they could. You had the people from the state side and the Hallback family that refused to participate in the filming. So, of course, they couldn't show you everything. So this guy going and talking to Kratz and Colburn, etc., it's because those people would talk to them, because this Convicting a Murderer first started out as being a pro-guilty piece. So that's why people who claim that Stephen and Brendan are guilty all signed on to be a part of it. So you were not misled by the series. The series didn't lie. The series gave you facts in this case. And Making a Murderer also then showed the press conferences that the state did and Teresa Hallback's brother did, in a way to try and show that side, since they wouldn't participate with the documentarians. So I don't like this quote that this director says, but after doing a little bit of follow-up research, I learned that not only did I not have the whole story, but I was misled by the series. You're not misled by the series, and I do not like the pot shot being taken at Making a Murderer, because Making a Murderer is what has been such a ginormous help to both Brendan and Stephen. Well, yes, they're both still in prison, but it has brought them things that they never imagined, the attention that has brought to their case. Because at the end of the day, even this guy now saying he was misled by the series, you're claiming that you have a confession from somebody that's not Stephen or Brendan. So then you know they're innocent too. So don't take shots at Making a Murderer. I don't like that at all. I'm not cool with that. And I also know that they've been shopping this around, this Convicting a Murderer, for a while, and nobody wants it. So is this alleged confession a real thing, or just to bring attention so now they can sell this Convicting a Murderer? So don't go by this as fact, because it is like clickbait. So even this live that I'm doing right now, there's 538 people on. When I first started it, we were at over 600 people were on here because of this claiming an alleged confession. So this is going to get his documentary a ton of attention, and people now are going to want to see it. So is it true or not? We don't know. So, and this takes us into a completely different realm here, because it claims, where is it? Let me go back to reading that again. Okay. A Wisconsin inmate has allegedly confessed to the murder of Teresa Hallback. The inmate, who is unnamed until Wisconsin law enforcement has access to the said confession, told filmmakers of upcoming documentary series Convicting a Murderer that he was responsible for the infamous death as seen on Making a Murderer. Where does it say it? It says somewhere. Let me skim through here. Because somewhere in here it said it's a known murderer. Where is it? This article's not very long. But it also says, confirm the confession did not come from Dassey or Avery. Sean Reck, director of Convicting a Murderer, told Newsweek his crew were given the confession while filming the documentary series. We haven't confirmed the legitimacy of the confession, but seeing as it was given by a notable convicted murderer from Wisconsin, we feel responsible to deliver any and all possible evidence to law enforcement and legal teams. Having been in production for 20 months, we've uncovered an unfathomable amount of information and evidence that is leading us to the truth. Our investigation does not end here. So some known murderer in Wisconsin. I don't know. What theory does this go along with? The only possible theory you could get, well, no, there's several. And I don't know if we want to dive into those right here, or if that's something that is better discussed in MAM Gossip, where we get more into it. Let me scroll and see any of your comments for me to go to, and don't think I'm ignoring you. There's so many comments coming so fast, they scroll up and I can't go back and get some. All right, so the first one I get is Victoria saying they need to let them out. It's not hard to figure out who did it. Kelly said, I just joined. What happened? People tagging people saying free Brendan and Steven. Katrina says, I missed it, so it is true there's a confession. Jeff saying any word on season 3. Very saying that series is the true FBI in law for us. Alice says, what confuses me is that we have ideas who did it and all of them are still free. The confession is supposed to be from someone inside the prison. Correct, Alice. Zeb said, I call BS. Catherine says, let's just pray he is telling the truth. Hopefully this is the beginning of the end of this nightmare for both families. Victoria says, Alex said, is it Andre Martinez? I don't know any other notable murderers in Wisconsin. So I guess, yeah, we need people who live in Wisconsin to give us those ideas. Victoria says they need to let them out. They are innocent. It's obvious. Joyce says the documentary brought awareness. Heather said nobody wants it because nobody will watch it. Amy said maybe it was Chris Watts. Ugh, that guy is so yuck. Sarah says only person who knows the truth is the lady who got murdered, I'm afraid. Kristen says that was my thought about hyping that new show. Carol says hoax. San says